Welcome in, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. This is your Wednesday wrap. Of course, I have Herb in the house. Grab your coffee. Let's go. How's it going, man?
Man, it's a beautiful morning. I am ready to roll.
Yeah, it's funny. This show is early on the West Coast, right? And normally my dog is like, hey, we're going to hang out. I pull a trailer everywhere I go, right? Like the dogs just follow me around. This morning, she's like, yeah, have fun on your show. I'm not getting out of bed.
I'm good. Appreciate you. Still love you. Talk to you later.
Yep. Come on back when you're done.
Oh, that sounds like how I would be. Like, oh, you're getting up? Cool. Have fun. Let me know how it goes.
Hey, up top. All right. Good. Way to be a go-getter.
Yes. Yes. I feel like that's what my wife gives me sometimes. Love you.
Yep.
Like,
that was pretty much the deal. Like,
yeah.
She poked her head up. She's like, no. Yeah. How's it going?
What's up, Win? No problem, Win. You know I always got you.
So it's funny because normally this time of year, I don't get to talk about the Hawks very much because free agency is something they rarely actually dabble in, right?
Wow. I mean,
bring in the heat already.
I mean, well, at least I don't get blamed for him being late this morning. So I
mean, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Look at him being on time.
Yes.
But yeah, so normally the Seahawks don't actually participate in free agency, right? Or if they do, it's like a last day. You don't even know who the person was. They're like, right. Oh, I guess they play in the league. Cool. So it's weird to see them doing so much during free agency here. And obviously the big signing this week was Cooper Kupp, right? And, when he was getting let go from the Rams, he said he wanted to stay on the West Coast, which obviously favored the Seahawks, especially with the Niners, selling everything.
Right.
So it's cool to see Kupp come back to, the Seattle area. He's here from Washington anyway. So, if you're a player and you get the opportunity to play in front of your home crowd, like that's awesome.
Yep. Especially at the end of your career too.
Yes. Well, I mean, the thing is people say that, but he's not that old.
It just feels like, and you're absolutely right. I don't even know his age, but it feels like with what he's accomplished and the injuries here, it feels like he's at the end of his career. So like if you told me Kupp was 35, I'd go, oh yeah, I can see that. You know what I mean? It's just perception.
So here's the thing that's funny about it is he is 4 or 5 years younger than Tyler Lockett.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would not have. No. We could have been in court and I'd have been like, no, that's not true, Your Honor.
It's all lies.
Bo's clearly lying, Your Honor. Sorry. So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny because there's just a lot of weird misperceptions that are happening coming through free agency here. One of the other things that is kind of funny is, and it's within the Seahawks fan base, which is even more ridiculous because I guess they don't know how Google works, but it's pretty easy to use. Like if you're watching and you're unfamiliar, you go to Google and then you type in what your question is and it will find an answer for you. It's amazing.
You will see me do that several times in the course of a show. You know what I mean? Because guess what? I can definitively tell you Cooper Kupp is 31 now.
Well, really?
Didn't just figure it out myself.
He's 31?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So he's a couple years older than I thought he was. I thought he was like, 29, something like that. So
he's just out there and nobody knows exactly what's going on with him. He was hatched one day and now he's 31.
And then he started playing football. Like who knows? So but it's funny because within the fan base, there's people out there, they're like, oh yeah, it's an undersized unit. And I'm like, what? Like, where are you getting undersized? MVS is 6'4".
Mm-hmm.
Bobo, 6'4". Kupp is 6'2". The shortest guy is JSN at 6 foot. And Darnold's 6'3", right? Yeah. Like, who's the little guy? Like, did I miss something? because there's not a lot of 7-foot basketball players playing wide receiver in the league here. Like 6'4" is kind of a big dude.
Yeah. But if you like again though, Cooper Kupp being 6'2" is also a surprise. You see him as a smaller slot guy. Is just kind of what the perception of him is, and so. Like the Julian Edelmans of the world have drugged down Cooper Kupp's height.
Oh, so you're saying it's his hair?
Yes. Is that what it is? Where are we measuring? Oh, no, keep going up.
He's actually 5'8", but the hair.
The hair gets you up there. No, looking at his picture, that makes a ton of sense. So I'm just telling you, it's the perception. A lot of us just kind of look and see the kind of routes or plays he plays. Like, oh, yeah, definitely that's a smaller receiver. And like the Patriots kind of made that famous, and now we just lumped them all together. So,
well, and Lockett is
right.
Like Lockett is a smaller guy. They play the same position, so that's one of the other things within the fan base that people are mad about. They're like, oh, they have to bring Lockett back. It's like, okay, you have Cooper Kupp, who's 2 years removed from being a Triple Crown winner, right? He's younger. And is $15 million a year for the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Lockett, older, getting used less in the offense, would have been a $31 million cap hit this year.
Yeah, the math ain't mathing.
Right. You can't spend $31 million on a guy that they didn't target that much and had 700 yards. Like that just doesn't make sense. So, and does he find a team? Probably yes. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him because the guy has some of the most sure hands in the league.
Yes.
So, and even though he was used less in our offense last year, he's coming off of 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get him for cheap because the bulk of the, cap hit type stuff is all for the Seahawks anyway. So, you sign him for just over the league minimum somewhere? Someone's going to try that.
Yeah. Remember Russell Wilson when we were like, oh, yeah, this guy's done. And then you sign him for $1 million because he's still getting paid. And it was like, okay, you're good to go. So, and I'll be honest, when I thought of the Seahawks big plays and big catches, Lockett is the one that always came to mind. I told you about DK Metcalf stuff. It was the chase down. And then, maybe something here or there. But Lockett was the guy I always thought of as, okay, here you need a big catch or a sure-handed catch. Like, he was the guy you went to, maybe not this last season, but before then, in my mind, that's always happened. I absolutely think he ends up somewhere. And like you said, for cheap, definitely.
Yeah. Well, and he could do this, Nick. Like, that's definitely the case. I know that Kansas City was kicking the tires on him, and he would be a good possession receiver for them.
Yeah.
And a guy that can catch the ball, which is something that they struggle to pick up.
Yeah. So D-Hop starts dropping passes. You're just like, okay, what are we absolutely doing now? So
and of course, Lockett is familiar with the area. I mean, he played for K-State. So, I mean, he could that could work. As a Hawks fan, I don't want to see that, but but on the analyst side of my brain, it's like, no, that could actually make a ton of sense.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. He's ending up somewhere. Someone's going to take a flyer on him for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, if Carson Wentz keeps getting jobs, Tyler Lockett's going to play until he doesn't want to play.
Carson Wentz has like the best agent known to man. They're like, yes, look, I know he's done nothing since forever, but he can help your team.
Yeah. I mean, the last time he was good was with the Colts, and they still ran him out of the house.
Yeah.
Like, he had a good season. And they're like, we're good, man.
Yeah. We appreciate you. Or we don't. It's fine either way.
Pretty much. Oh, man. So sticking with the Seahawk front, they also signed Dexter Lawrence. And D-Law decided to do a presser here with Hawk Blogger. If you haven't followed him on X, be sure to do that. He's the one that did this interview. And it was amazing because it is not how I saw this going. No. And but man, I'm glad it did. It started a feud between him and Micah Parsons. That conversation is on X as well. Check that out because it's funny. But
made my home there. My family lives there. I'm forever going to be there. But I know for sure I'm not going to win a Super Bowl there. So, yeah. We here.
We here.
I mean,
So Parsons took exception to that.
which I can't really blame. That's kind of.
I mean, but he's not wrong. Like he told zero lies. You have Dak hitting the cap for $90 million this year. You can't tell me that you're somehow a Super Bowl team when your quarterback is taking a third of your cap. Yeah. And nope, Lawrence didn't lie. Like he wasn't going to win there. I don't know that he's necessarily going to win here either, but he has a better shot. I think the only team that has a worse shot than Dallas is maybe the Panthers.
Yeah. And at least they're, trending in a direction where like, okay, we think we found this piece. Let's move here. And you're expecting bad. You can't, if Bryce Young was making $90 million, we'd be talking a whole different conversation with the Panthers. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, you'd be like, burn the franchise down.
Yes, basically. But, hey, you got a guy on a rookie contract. And if, you got another year to figure out, and you jettison him and move on. But Dak, $90 million for what does he have? One playoff win in his history? Is that where Dak is right now?
Yes. Him and Romo.
Yes. $90 million. So I like I said, it's funny that he did it, but he's absolutely not wrong about it. And like I said, Parsons fires back. Michael Irvin has gotten involved. I'm on Micah's side. Well, of course you got to say that.
Yeah, right.
But then even Irvin was like, Lord, you played here, so you're part of the reason why we didn't win. I'm like, I don't know that it was their side of the ball all the time.
Well, no. So the defense was an issue, right? Like when they would get into the playoffs, I don't know why they would change their defense, but think of some of those playoff games where, like against Green Bay, right?
Green Bay, I knew that was, yep.
I mean, there wasn't even a Cowboy on the screen when guys were catching balls. Like, it wasn't like, oh, man, that was a great contested catch, but, hey, perfect ball beats perfect D every time, right? No, it was like, yo, Cowboys know there's a game, right? Like, there's nobody out there.
True.
So,
Probably one of the weirder things I've ever seen a team play so well consistently in the regular season and so badly in the playoffs consistently. Like you said, like the wrong switch gets flipped, where you have those two runs and you go out there, you try to turn on the light, you actually turn off the light. That's what they did every single playoff. You're like, oh crap. Didn't mean to hit that switch. But
the Cowboys are absolutely pushing a pole door.
Yes. and not figuring it out.
And they're convinced it's locked. They're just like, why isn't it working?
Well, and along those lines of consistently making the wrong mistakes, or the same mistakes over and over, the whole Micah Parsons thing. And if you're D-Law, you're sitting there watching that when you're leaving. You're like, okay, we already ran into this problem. Dak had to get super. I don't know if you call him overpaid, I guess, with it, but he's paid way too much. And then you had to pay CeeDee Lamb, overpay him to, like with what you could have paid him. Mike is now headed down the same path because you decided to wait on this too. So these three guys, you're going to be paying so much that I could probably get a job with the Cowboys because they're going to have to fill out the team with people. So it just doesn't. You're going to continue to make the same mistakes. You're not going to be any closer to the Super Bowl. Your coaching hire suggests that maybe you gave up on that anyway, and you're just like, screw it. We're just going to hire the guy, next door. So.
I wish I'd have known you were going to go that route. I would have queued up the Bad News Bears. Like, do you like football? No. Have you ever played football? No. Perfect. You can play for me.
I mean, is it wrong at this point? It sounds like that's where we're headed with the Cowboys. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't blame D-Law at all.
No,
I frustrated over there.
Well, and there was I forget who the other player that just left. On his Twitter, he was just like, "Now it's my turn," and he left for and it's just like, and then you have Parsons, having a problem with it. It's like, dude, he went on to say, on Twitter, he's just like, oh yeah, like if you were more worried about winning than your podcast, it's just like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
we're throwing daggers now.
Yes, we are. Yes. That was a haymaker. I was like, okay. It makes you like, was there something that we missed while he was there, or is this just stuff that built up and he was like, I gotta say it on the way out?
I'm guessing there was something there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
it feels like it.
It felt a little personal, like immediately. So it's not like, oh man, why you got to do us like that? Because that I would have got. Yeah. Just be like, man, you can't go out and just barbecue us like that. Like, that's not cool, man. But instead, he's just like, oh, that's some clown stuff. And you're just like, oh, okay, he'd been waiting to call him a clown.
Yes, absolutely. So,
What's happening, Chad?
What up, Chad? Good to see you, man.
That little feud between D-Law and Parsons was funny. It was short-lived, though. I haven't heard anything else about it. So it lasted for like 2 days, and then everybody kept pushing. I would imagine that probably came through both organizations, right? I would imagine that Cowboys and the Seahawks were like, okay, it was kind of funny, but no. Right. Like, let's shut this down. But entertaining, and it was worth it.
We appreciate you both, guys.
Absolutely. So then, speaking of spending way too much in what will probably be the most ridiculous thing ever, is this right here. This is this year's cap hit for the Bengals. So you have Burrow, Chase, Higgins, 115.1 mil. The entire Bengals defense that was awesome last year, 79 mil.
And whose best player might be out too. So
yeah. So I don't really get what they're thinking here. I understand that if it's an offensive league, but you know who wins the Super Bowls? Teams with top 10 defenses.
Yes.
You mean to tell me you got 3 dudes that make up over a third of the cap? You have a defense that was underwhelming, to say the least.
That's putting it kindly.
I mean, they don't even play. Like, I don't actually think those are people. I think they're mannequins with the jerseys on.
No, because mannequins tackle better. So don't.
Yeah, that's true. The wind did knock them over. And
yes.
I mean, I've seen the turf tackle more people. Daniel Jones comes to mind.
Yes.
But this is wild to me that you have this kind of disparity, especially on a unit that was so bad. Like, why would you sign Higgins at that point? Why wouldn't you trade him, right? Because you could still go get a Diggs or a Cooper or, an effective second receiver. And then, I don't know, maybe use $30 million to maybe plug some of the holes on the defense. Because every game, like when you're looking at this, you're assuming that every Bengals game is going to be 39-35 and an L, right? Because you can't stop anything. So they're going to put up points. Awesome. But they're going to stop nobody.
Right. The 2 drives that you don't score on in the game are what loses you the game.
Absolutely.
So that second quarter drive where you overthrow him and you have to punt and you're like, oh man, guess what? Game's over right there.
Yep.
You're like, really? It's the second quarter? Yeah. But we're going to score a lot more. Yeah. But so is the other team. Probably without even trying. They're going to hand off to their third string running back and he's going to go for 15 yards a pop and just be fine. So what I think really happened here, they tried to stretch this out too much. Again, they did a Cowboys thing. They drafted, unfortunately, our boy Jermaine Burton, thinking, okay, if he works out because he's got the talent, then we can move off Higgins and be fine. And he turned it out to be the same head case in the NFL that he was in college, shockingly. And then they said, okay, I guess we got to keep Joe Burrow happy. But guess what, guys? This same unit, which I was one of the people advocating, like, look, you need to get these deals done because you're going all offense. I didn't know it was going to be at these numbers. I didn't know that y'all were going to be paying the offense this much, and not even paying the offense. You're just paying these three. Like, I hope the line holds up. You know,
the thing. Like, if that was the offense, cool. Like, I'm with it. 115 mil for three guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, that is not going to be great.
Right.
Like, they may get in the playoffs,
maybe, but do you expect the same exact production? You know, that was an MVP year from Burrow and what the Triple Crown with Chase. Like, you just don't expect that year to year. You know, and Higgins was banged up most of last year. Either his foot or his arm or his ego, but something was banged up most of last year. Does it?
Well, and when you think about an offense where you're like, okay, you have MVP caliber guy, basically a career year for the guy, Triple Crown winner. The next phrase of they missed the playoffs doesn't make sense
At all.
Like, when you hear Triple Crown winner, you're like, oh, like they made a run, right? And it's like, oh yeah, no, they ran to Cabo,
very quickly.
Like,
they sat there on the last day complaining that this other team didn't try hard enough to get them in the playoffs. That's what happened to them.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like, if you are waiting for someone else to get you in, you didn't do your job.
Exactly.
So, you know, just that's why I always laugh when, you know, the game comes down to a bad call or something, right? They're like, oh, the refs cost us the game. It's like, no, you guys played poorly during the game. And so that one call was the tipping point, but there's plenty of opportunity the rest of the way that you could have won that game.
Yeah.
So, you know, or when they're like, oh, they ran up the score. It's like, yeah, if you don't like it, stop them.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought that as a player. It's not like as a fan where I'm like, you know, I'm just, no, I've been on both sides of that where we ran up a score or just got absolutely demolished. And it's like, man, we just got nothing for them today.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad at it. It's like, hey, if you can do it, you do it.
Yeah. Especially as professionals. That's what I never understood. I'm like you said, you got to stop them at some point. And guess what? Every person out there has some individual incentive or something like that. Or maybe that last touchdown meant something to somebody else. Or the third string guy off the bench. Yeah, he's going to be trying hard. But like you said, y'all are getting paid. You got to stop somebody. But I guess you're the Bengals defense. You're not getting paid enough. So, I guess you're. Yeah,
they're not getting paid. They're like, hey, we got this bag of Doritos and some Big Red. Yes. You want to play defense? And they're like, all right.
All right. They grab the Doritos. They're stale. They're like, what the heck? Gotcha.
Hey, I didn't say they were good Doritos. I just said they were Doritos.
They were Doritos at one point in their existence. So, no, this is just – I feel really dumb for saying, oh, yeah, you guys got to keep this offense together. You got to keep Burrow happy because I see these numbers and I think you guys are doomed. Like, there is no flexibility now. There's nothing you can do. Yep. Your best defensive player wants out.
Well, and I could even kind of get it if that was the whole offense, right? Or even if that was like 150, but it was the whole offense. Cool. Like, I could get that, 150. So you're paying a little bit more on your offense than your defense. But what this number means is there is another almost 100 million in their offense, because if 79 mil is the entire defense and your cap is 280 mil, that means there's almost another 80 million in the offense. That is not great.
No,
that is not great
at all. And now you're just, both the two outside guys have been banged up, right? Yeah. In recent years, you're hoping from unprecedented health too as well, from all three. Like, if one of these guys goes down, you're just kind of screwed at that. Yeah. I know, like I said, Chase put up great numbers with Higgins down, but you also I get Gesicki out there too as well. Just signed his contract. You're just hoping on so much. And if you, who wants to be the defensive coordinator for this team? You're like, so we were terrible last year and you gave me no help?
If you're the coordinator for this, you do it you do it Waterboy style. You go out there for like defense for dummies.
Do you even call plays over the headset? Like the middle linebacker's just like, and you're over there like,
I mean, I think you do. Just for sheer entertainment value. In fact, you might not even call stuff that's real plays. You're just like, you know what? I wonder what they'll do. They're not executing what I'm asking them to do anyway. Let's see if we can just confuse them into doing something.
That would be awesome. You're in the headset going, all right, Z25, left, trap, right. They're like, what?
They're like, wait, left, right. Like, what are we running? Deep thirds. Never mind.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's going to be an entertaining season, but
like it could randomly work, I guess. Right? Maybe they get some guys in the draft and they just absolutely show out. But
I just don't see it.
Yeah, like the odds are low. It's not zero, right? It's like your cat killing you. Like it's unlikely, but it's never zero. That's this defense being successful.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this team doesn't seem like a team that hits on like the tougher draft picks. Like, okay, drafting Joe Burrow, that was a no-brainer, right? Sure. When you got Chase, he's one of the best coming out of college. You needed an offensive lineman, but you still went for the wide receiver, which, okay, it worked out. But it doesn't seem like, I keep pointing back to like the Burtons of the world. It does not seem like a team that's hitting on the second, third, and fourth rounders that you really need to be good at to fill out your team. It's like, hey, we hit on the obvious picks. We're going to miss everything else. And then we're just going to pay the top guys. So, I don't know. I'd have to do a deeper dive than I'd ever want to do into the Bengals, but this just looks like a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, and the thing that's funny, right, is your DC in this scenario gets fired.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Which is laughable because it's your GM that torpedoed the guy's career, because he's just like, yeah, I mean, you gave me two okay players, a traffic cone, and some caution tape. But like, what did you expect me to do with this?
It was your fault for not putting the caution tape in the right spots. Okay. Right. The cones are consistently out of position. You're getting fired. Yeah. Oh, and then again, it's like the Dallas thing. If this is what you were going to do, you should have done it a year or two ago.
Sure.
To save the money. You save several millions off of this if that's what you're going to do. But you point out it's another thing that I think we've talked about several times. There's such a disconnect between the coaches and the GM sometimes, where it's like the blame just gets shifted. Yeah, coaches get fired because like, I have zero to work with and you invested zero in it. And you're in charge of the draft and you're not drafting me good players. And you're like, what are you trying to say here? Like, I'm trying to say you suck at your job. Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, but I'm saying you're fired. So,
yes. You know what I mean? Me and the owner, we were just out having lunch and we decided you're fired. So,
well, I mean, you basically just described Vrabel with the Titans.
Yeah.
I mean, he was there. They get to they go deep in the playoffs, and then he starts losing players. Tannehill becomes a shell of himself. Henry gets hurt. The GM gets nobody in the door. His players are playing hard for him, right? Winning games they shouldn't be winning. And he gets fired. GM keeps his job. I'm like, man, the math isn't mathing there. Like, He has nobody to play for. He didn't lose the locker room. Like, those dudes were playing as hard as they could. They just were outmatched by everybody. And then he gets fired, and you're just like, man, that is wild to me. You're like, oh, yeah, so I'm bad at my job, but we should fire that guy.
And somehow the owner's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm like, what?
I mean, hey, hell of a salesman.
I mean, I guess that's what you've got to do. Now you're going to take me down a rabbit hole. I'm going to end up after this looking at all the draft picks from, the Bengals from this last year and just see, because I just quickly called up their draft and they're like, oh, and A's and B's. And I'm like, it's clearly not making it to the field though. So,
well, it's A's and B's, but where are they? Like, what did they pick? Did they pick a lot of defense?
First one was a tackle. Second, they did line on both sides of the ball, offense and defense for the first two rounds. But like
I didn't remember their draft, but
I didn't either. That's I expected it to be more defense, I guess. So your first pick being an offensive lineman is great. But
Well, yeah, I mean, Burrow needed more protection.
Yeah,
he still needs more protection. When you look at his career, he's hurt every other year. He had a good year last year. A little worried he's going to get murdered this year.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to check that out afterwards. It's interesting to me, but okay.
Yeah, so I knew that was going to be the case. They've been talking about this the last couple of days when they've been increasingly less interested in the Rodgers fiasco. I think him being like, oh, I don't know if I want to play, because he's done this stuff the last 3 years anyway, right? Oh, I might want to play. I don't know. I got to hide in a hole for a minute. Yeah, I don't. I'm not shocked. Realistically, I don't know that any team should be giving him anything. Like, I wouldn't take a flyer on him just because what he's done on the field is no longer the elite level that he used to play. Like, I will put up with a lot of crazy if you're elite, right? Soon as the production doesn't outweigh the crazy, like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why bring all that chaos and just weirdness into your building if you're not getting the production side of it that would make you entertain it at all?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just...
Yeah. It's like the hotter the woman, the more crazy you put up with. We all understand.
Yeah,
that.
right. It's the scale, right? So you don't want to be off that scale one side or the other.
No. I couldn't disagree with you more, though. I don't understand why the Steelers have not signed him yet.
Well, no, I mean, I want that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the one team that's got to go for the crazy, because I saw that Cam Hayward was like, "Will you just pick a team already?" No, Rodgers is feeding his ego.
Yep.
He's loving the attention he's getting. He's going to stretch it out as long as he can, so he doesn't have to do any extra work for anybody.
Yeah, and
then he'll pick a team. So, not when it's exactly true. Every guy knows what I'm talking about instantly. You're like, yeah. Trust me. But no, I agree.
If you haven't seen that video, definitely check that video out because it is hilarious. Because there's a little section where he goes, "She's at least a 9 hot and not crazy at all," and he's like, "Yeah, that's a dude." Hilarious video. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. It's an old one, so it's easy to find. I think it's just called like crazy to hot scale or something, but it is amazing. But yeah, I mean, it's the Rodgers thing is so ridiculous. I want him to pick a team just because I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yes.
Like again, if you were winning MVPs still, cool. There's a lot of teams that are going to want to entertain that. Every year that you don't play great, and I understand he got some garbage time yards and touchdowns and stuff at the end of the year when it didn't matter.
Right.
But at some point, everybody's just gonna be like, "Yeah, no, we're cool."
Yeah.
Like, we're all right.
And the thing about the more attention you put on this, the higher the expectations get for next year. And it's like Rodgers is that guy where, okay, I want to stretch this out. I want to get the attention. If I don't play well, I'm blaming somebody else anyway. None of this is going to be my fault.
Yeah.
That's what you're inviting. That's what you're honestly waiting for.
And that's exactly why I wouldn't bring that chaos into my building. No, because it's like, okay, if he somehow turns into MVP Rodgers, which is never going to happen again, but let's pretend for the sake of this argument that he is. You're like, okay, cool. It worked. He's 41?
Yep.
Right? So this isn't a long-term thing. Like, you get 1 or 2 years out of this guy, maybe, right? And that's if he just absolutely balls out. He has that first year with the Vikings, Brett Favre year, right? Just the career revival for 1 year. Sure. Okay, cool. Maybe it works out. What's your answer after that?
Yep. We're going to go through this whole thing again.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, means you're almost thinking we can get Rodgers and win a Super Bowl this year. Like, how many teams are really in that position?
I mean, the Vikings could have at least made the argument.
Right.
But, I mean, do you really want to complete the Favre arc? Like, do you need him to go to the Jets and then the Vikings and have a good year, but come up short? Like, I mean, because we all know what his ceiling is anyway. It's to lose in the championship game, right? NFC Championship. What, they went to like 4 of them after that Super Bowl win? The NFC Championship was the Green Bay Invitational. It was like whoever beat Green Bay went to the Super Bowl. Like that. That's what it was.
And that's all it was. No, you're absolutely right. You also have the J.J. McCarthy part of this, and it's like he is not known. I almost call him Favre. Rodgers is not known for training up the new guy. So you're really going to have him sit behind Rodgers for a year? I
wouldn't want any of that.
No.
Hard pass.
Yeah, retirement is just fine with all of us. The Giants one is even funnier to me.
Yeah, well, that's the other one where it's like, okay, well, I mean, maybe that could be funny, because they're going to be bad. They don't have a great team, and they've been speculating this also. I think this is more wishful thinking than anything. Realistically, he'll play this year. I think if the Giants were the only option, everybody's just like, oh, yeah, he's going to retire if the Giants is the only option. I don't think his ego lets him retire yet, right? No. Like, I think he comes out. If he plays for the Giants, he gets hurt, 100%. Something he might do, though, rather than retire, I don't know if he actually full-on retires, but he may not start on a team and then just wait for somebody to get hurt, right? And get that phone call.
Which probably at this point, as much as he likes to skip all the workouts and stuff, it's probably next to the point.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Is he doesn't want to do any of the OTAs or preseason workouts or any of that. So, like, if you were going to do something, that would be the course of action. Be like, okay, yeah, let's wait till week 3 because that's when I start taking football serious anyway. Right.
But then some team will go pick him up and do that and wonder why in week 6 he still looks slow. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that either. When
he's gonna trip over a tablet. Man. Yeah. No, I mean, again, I just wish he would do something because I'm just tired of him occupying all the airwaves during, free agency and all of this because he's just not good enough to warrant it. If it was in the prime of his MVP seasons, sure, you're like, oh man, where's he going to go? What's he going to do? It makes sense because you're like, okay, this is an obvious upgrade wherever he goes, right? When he was winning back-to-back MVPs, had he been like, I'm going to play somewhere else, yeah, that dominating the airwaves makes absolute sense because you're like, okay, you're going to get elite talent. And he's taken his talents on the road. So where's he going to go? Who immediately becomes a contender, right? Sure, that makes sense. You're talking about a guy that Jordan Love played better with the toys that he had.
Yes.
Right? He went 9-8 that last year in Green Bay, if I remember right. Jordan Love has taken those guys to the playoffs.
Yeah. And he goes one game missing the playoffs is last year, right?
Yeah. Then he goes to the Jets, gets hurt, 4 snaps into the game. Comes out last year. He finished with 7 good games. And not like great, not Roger-esque or anything like that. Like they're decent.
Yeah.
Right? Like just okay.
Yeah.
But then you have all of the off the field stuff. Like what part of that is enticing?
Right. And that was the thing I was going to say with molding the entire offense to fit him. Just to get to those 7 games, which he's not going to be able to do it the next time. Devontae Adams is already gone.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do now? And like I said, these next teams are not ready for I'm going to throw whoever, misses whatever terrible pass I throw. I'm throwing them under the bus.
Yes, exactly.
It just looks so bad.
Yeah. No, again, just no part of this is something I would want to be a part of. That's why every time there's like, oh, he might go to Seattle. I was like, man, he better not. Yep. Like, I thought you were trying to build a culture. Like, that is the last thing you want.
Are you trying to build a culture? He should go to the Cowboys. just for the entertainment value.
I mean,
I know there's Dak there, but
whatever. Well, and then that's the other thing is he still wants a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, the report that I saw was he was asking for like 35 to 40.
Sheesh.
Right?
Somebody should get fired if they
what?
give him that money. Yeah.
What part of his last 3 years of production says you should give him 40 mil?
No. If I'm giving Rodgers 40 million, we better be in the AFC or NFC championship game minimum. Like that's got to be the floor.
Yeah, because there's no long-term solution, right? So you're just like, okay, like we're paying you for this year.
Yeah,
like that's what we're doing.
Yes,
but when you're looking at the teams that are available for that, it's the Vikings, because no one else is close enough. That needs a quarterback, I should say.
Yeah. Well, the Steelers with their defense are probably close enough, but
yes, but with all the personalities on that, I think that is just an absolute dumpster fire.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'm saying just strictly personnel, like could get there, Steelers, but with what they've signed, somebody's getting murdered. So
if
or Tomlin just walks off in the middle of game 3, like, you know what, done.
Yes.
I can't yell at everybody.
So if the Browns weren't so dysfunctional, they could, because they have a really good defense and they have the ability to go get, a Diggs or, bring Amari back or anything like that. Like you could see the Browns actually doing something if they weren't the Browns.
Yeah. Cause like Njoku's played well and Judy kind of rehabilitated himself last year. So yeah, you get one more wide receiver and that defense. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. Well, and just competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
I mean, so like that team is actually set up to win. They just happen to be the Browns. Like if you were to take that roster and put it in just about any other city, it works.
Like they did with Baltimore. We're just going to take the Browns. Yeah. We're going to move cities and we'll go win some Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like they only got a couple of rings out of it. No big deal. And they're a perennial playoff team.
Yeah.
Who knew Cleveland just,
Is that bad? Yeah.
Destroys football teams. It's weird.
Yeah. Hey, Myles Garrett, enjoy the money, buddy, because that's all you got now.
That's it. Yeah, you're going to get a Hall of Fame jacket, but you're never going to get a ring.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's too bad.
Buddy.
Yeah, and so this here is because he's 41. Like I could even kind of entertain it if he was 35.
Yes.
Right? You're just like, okay, you had a couple of bad years. You still got some time on the backside of the career here because you're a quarterback. 35 for every other position is, you get a walker because you're done.
Right.
But, for quarterbacks, obviously, you can keep rolling at that point. But at 41, I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to play longer than Brady. Right? And if you win as long as him, he retired at 43.
Which one? The first time or the
Brady?
Yeah, I'm saying the first time or the second time.
No, I mean, I think at the end, right? Like,
yeah, I think you're right. I think it was like 43.
So, I mean, you're thinking what? Best case, 2 years.
Yeah, but part of Rodgers' thing also was at least some kind of mobility and throwing on the run and zipping those passes. Like Brady never had that. Brady was like, I'm standing right here and I'm going to be good right here. Rodgers, and even like I said, I listened to a lot of Jets commentary. They were like, he looks like he's scared to get hit at this point of his career too, and he's moving around gingerly and he looks hurt the entire time. Like you've lost all of that. I'd rather have Brady at that age because he knew, all right, hey, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the ball out quick. I've got a team with a good defense. Like, this is what I'm going to play off of. He also didn't say, go get me every former Patriot on the team, and I'm tanking the whole thing. And, hey, all these other guys. So, it's just everything was better about having Brady.
Brady was just like, get me protection.
Yes.
That was it. Like, build me an offensive line.
Yes. You have no wide receivers. That's fine. I'll figure out what these guys do well, and I'll get them the ball. It's fine. We can't throw any deep passes because we have no deep receiver. That's fine.
Doesn't
5
matter.
and 10 yards at a time, we're good. I got you.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's funny because they would build an elite offensive line, and then he'd get the ball out as fast as anybody in the league.
Yes.
So I mean, in fact, it was good he didn't have any burners because he got the ball out so fast they wouldn't have been far enough down the field anyway.
Exactly. So no, I'd much rather have the Brady part of this and not tank my team in.
A salary contingent on the Super Bowl.
Well, he might as well give that away then.
So he's playing for free.
Yeah.
That seems right.
Well, it's like you said, it's like we have this other perception of him. He wasn't playing well at the end of Green Bay. The last year they missed the playoffs, losing to a team that was already out of the playoffs and just wanted to screw your season over.
That's exactly right.
We just, I don't know, nostalgia is really great here. Remember 10 years ago when he was playing really, really well?
Yeah.
Yes. That what we're paying for? Or are we paying for right now? Because right now sucks.
Well, and that's probably the thing that why I always make the argument of they didn't play well at the end of Green Bay, because people seem to forget that they weren't good. Right. And it's not that the team was terrible, because the only shift that happened was Rodgers left, Love took over.
Right.
And it looked like a different team, even though it otherwise had very similar personnel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. We like to forget that part. So,
I mean, guys do it with Russell Wilson too. They're like, oh yeah, Denver was just such a bad situation. It's like, you realize like the last few years in Seattle, he wasn't great either. Like he wasn't Denver bad, but he wasn't great anymore. Yeah. What's happening, Chris?
What up, man?
Yeah, no, it's I don't know. The Rodgers saga needs to end. Like, it's just, I'm over it. Like, either pick a team or don't. I don't care. Just go do whatever it is you're gonna do. Unless, but if you are going to play, go to the Steelers, because I think that'll be funny. I want to see the world burn when it comes to that.
Yes.
In fact, I hope you guys go like 1-5 to start the season to really get that just chemistry between you and DK and Pickens. Make sure that the ball's off target and you start throwing them under the bus a little bit. Like that'll be amazing. Just all of those personalities clashing will be hilarious.
Yes. I can't wait till Rodgers realizes how big DK is and he throws him a bad pass and gets ready to throw him under the bus, looks at DK and throws like the third wide receiver under the bus. Mike Williams still terrible over here. And I'm like, he wasn't even on the field. What? He's like, yeah, I'm not messing with DK. So.
He'd be like, DK was in the wrong spot because Williams didn't run the rub route right.
Like, we cut Williams last week. Oh, really? Oh.
I mean, I didn't even notice. That's how bad he is.
Yeah. No, I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, if he does play, I hope that's the way it goes. Because then you also know that it's one and done. Like, that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
Also,
one game and done, or 1 year?
It'd be 1 year. It'd be 1 year.
You think he makes it the whole year? Good. Optimistic.
I don't know if I would sign up for that. I might still take the under, because if he gets too annoying, that offensive line might miss some blocks.
What was that in? What's the prison movie where they do that?
Longest Yard.
Longest Yard. Yep. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, there you go. Boom. So.
Yep. Yeah, they did it in the Replacements also.
Yes.
They're like, oh, you should learn to scramble. Yeah, no, he'll make it more than one game. I mean, remember, that'll be his first time getting on the field. He's not going to do any of that preseason stuff and learn, what his receivers do well. That's why I was laughing at the beginning of last year. They're like, oh, yeah, he's in the wrong spots. Like, if you did maybe some practice sometimes.
Yeah.
Ever.
Funny how that works out.
Man. Okay, we got Daniel Jones going to the Colts.
Yeah.
So that is not a glowing endorsement for their high draft pick. I believe he was 4th overall in Anthony Richardson. and they said there is going to be a quarterback competition. So that essentially lets AR know you're not our guy.
Yeah.
And if you think Daniel Jones is the guy over your guy, you don't have a quarterback.
No, at all. I can't tell if your thing now is to actually push one of them or to try and get a high draft pick for next year. I honestly don't know which direction you think you're going in.
I think they don't know which direction. They're just like, maybe they push each other or maybe we get a high draft pick. They're just coin flip.
Yeah. I think the Colts said, what are they? One of the only organizations not to win the division in the last, 5, 6, 7 years, some goofy like that. I think everybody else, since the current GM is in place, I think he's the only one to not win the division. And It doesn't look like you're moving in that direction with any of the moves that you're making now either. But come on, Richardson was drafted way too high. So you already made that mistake. Yeah. Then Joe Flacco was the answer. Then pulling him, pushing him, pulling him, pushing him. And then, like I said, Daniel Jones.
Yeah. No, the Richardson thing was so bizarre to me. And, of course, we have the opportunity for something like that to happen again because we got the pro days coming up. And, when you were – before the pro day, Richardson was kind of slated as a day 2 guy.
Right.
At best, right? And then when you watched his tape, he didn't start a lot, right? Like he only started the last year of college anyway.
Right.
Had a couple of starts before that, but then started his whole, final year there. And then, but he went like 6-6, right? They weren't exactly lighting it up. He didn't play great.
Yeah. And I looked it up. I remember I said it on here. His completion percentage was terrible.
Yeah. No, like it just
like it has now. Yeah.
Not a great football player.
Right.
And then, throws that 80-yard bomb. And then they're like, he's amazing. And it's like, I feel like there's tape. So, yeah, I mean, I get wanting to bring someone in to push him. And I don't know, maybe you think Daniel Jones was just in a bad enough situation.
Right.
Maybe he's going to have the Geno Smith, Sam Darnold effect where he goes to dysfunction, has that break of a different team, and then plays well. Maybe that's the case, right? I'm sure that's why Miami took Zach Wilson, right? They're just like, he's free. Let's see what we can get. Right. But when it comes to the Colts, you're just like, man, this sure seems like you're going to be drafting a quarterback again.
It does. And wouldn't you think with not knowing what McCarthy's health 100%, like the Vikings would have tried to do something with Daniel Jones versus letting him go like this?
I'm surprised they didn't.
Yeah. But doesn't that say something to you if you're the Colts? Like, okay, they didn't either. So I don't know. Yeah. I think your first point is like they're going to be drafting another quarterback. It's amazing to me how much the sports leagues go on optimism, of, hey, we're ignoring everything Anthony Richardson did in college and we think he's going to be great in
yeah, the upside is so good.
All the time, though. The ceiling is so great. It's like, what about the actual evidence? Who needs game film?
That's what I don't get is just like, why are you ignoring the tape? Like there's actual games you can watch, instead of, this is the pro day where he's throwing to his friends that he's thrown to forever and probably ran this exact route 5,000 times this week.
Yes.
He threw a perfect ball to him. It's like, yeah.
Did you notice he had his eyes closed? He's memorized this at this point. Like he's good at this part. So
yeah. No, it's I don't know. It just seems weird.
I'm here for it though.
Oh, no question. No question. To wrap the show up, arena football is back. So if you're missing football has started. UFL starts in 9 days. So we're going to have some football to watch. Cool thing. So I was working the game this last Sunday.
Yeah.
And we have another home game this Saturday. So if you're here in the Seattle area, come support your Washington Wolfpack. But we had Jeff Fisher in the house. And so that was very cool. I didn't know he was going to be there. And
I heard he came to see you, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Raj and I said that.
Yes. He flew all the way out here specifically for that. No, it was kind of cool though, because, I'm standing there and I'm setting up my cameras and stuff in the, just outside the end zone. And Jeff Fisher was, standing, down the way a little bit. And I was just like, hey, coach, you got a minute? And he's like, I mean, I guess. So it was pretty cool. We got him on camera. We had about, 10, 15 minutes there. But what was really cool was, once the game started, he ended up coming back and then ended up just getting to chat with him for like a half hour, which was very cool. A bunch of it, he made sure that my camera wasn't on, because he's like, because I was asking him questions about the league and kind of where the league was going. And some of those insights, he's like, yeah, that can't be like out there.
Right.
So, but it was cool. They do have some optimism for the league though. So this is where I was going with it is, they did have a couple of teams drop out this year. And it's something that arena football has struggled with through its whole history, is teams just being underfunded. Right. So this time around, Jeff Fisher is now the commissioner of the AF1. They are looking at the potential of, next year adding another 6 teams, right? So they're sitting at 8 right now. So you add another 6 teams, all of a sudden this thing starts to really kind of take shape as a league. So, I have some love for arena. Like, I want to see this end of it stay alive, right? I played it, and so I want to see it succeed, just because I know about how they fail, personally, right? Like the league I was in went bankrupt while I was playing.
Oh, wow. Oh, you told me that part.
Yeah. So the team I was on folded, and then the whole league shut down at the end of the year. So, I mean, it's just kind of how these arena leagues have gone.
Right. I used to watch arena all the time, though. That's always been a fun league to watch.
It's a ton of fun. It's cheap to go. Like, you can get tickets for $10, $20. Like, so if you got an arena team, go support your team, because they need those ticket sales. Those teams are always struggling to stay open. So if you have if you love football, you have an arena team in your city, definitely go check them out, because they need your support.
I'm with it, man. I hope they do well. I would definitely support them if I could. We don't have anything down here though, do we? Like anywhere in this area?
So I don't know if you guys have. I don't know if you have one in the AF1, but you probably do in the IFA, the IFL. There are multiple arena leagues.
Gotcha.
So I would imagine you probably have one that plays relatively close. And all of the leagues suffer from kind of the same thing, is the ownerships are, guys that have like, a shop or a restaurant or whatever, right? Like, they're not generally greatly funded teams. The guys don't make any money. They're making, a few $100 a game probably. So that's why I say, like, the sponsorships that they get are generally kind of lower end, all of that. So, I mean, ticket sales definitely matter. Merch matters. Like, go support your guys. So yeah, there's my TED talk about the Arena Football League. Go support your guys. Other than that, we got to get out of here. We are at the end of the show.
Happy belated birthday, Bo.
I appreciate it. And, thank you to everybody that wished me a happy birthday. I do appreciate that. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Take it easy, everybody. Maybe.
Love y'all.
There we go.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming